I'd like to talk about the economy and budgeting. In your household, I want to ask you a question that you need to think about. If you have a mortgage of say $100,000 on your house, but you also have a car payment, say of maybe $15,000 to $18,000, but you happen to have $3,000-4,000 in the bank, does that mean you have a surplus? Of course not. Nobody with any common sense would believe they actually have a surplus. A smart person understands how to budget and how to make sure that they're making their payments, how they're bringing that payment down so that they're not owing in the future. But unfortunately, we have leaders right now in the state legislature who don't seem to understand that. They have bonded, which means borrowing, all the way out 30 to 40 years in the future. This particular state legislature has bonded, again, that's borrowing money that like no other legislature has in the state of Wisconsin history has in the past. Thus, I like to remind people that a budget is a moral compass. It is truly how we measure our elected officials. Every legislature, one of the most important tasks they have is to pass a balanced budget, which, by the way, by the Constitution in the state of Wisconsin, every budget has to be balanced when it's passed. Of course, they're all based on economic projections such as spending and revenue that's going to come in during the course of a 2-year period, and sometimes it doesn't work the way they thought. Thus, they have to make adjustments along the way or make adjustments with the next budget. But unfortunately, this particular legislature has already raised their spending up over $70 billion. And when I say they raised the spending, when this group came into power in 2010, they inherited a budget that was at $66 billion. That's really important for people to know. There was a $66 billion budget that they inherited, and they have already gone over $70 billion in spending. And I know that's shocking to many people because they continuously will tell you that the other side, my side, are the spenders. But we are not. I like to talk about responsible spending, being fiscally responsible. Unfortunately, that some of that rhetoric has been stolen. So the difference is this. A responsible moral budget, in my opinion, is one that sets priorities based on the needs of the general public, the needs of the state of Wisconsin. We're talking about making sure that our public schools are paid for, that our public schools are there for our children and their children in the future, to make sure that they build the next economy because of what we have given them as far as an education. To make sure that our university system is funded the way it should be, so that students don't find themselves in such debt that they never are able to get out of the hole. We want to make sure that people have the health care they deserve by making sure that they can afford the insurance needed to go to the hospital or go to the doctor when they need to. This particular legislature didn't take those things into account. They cut our public schools, they cut our UW system, they even went after our technical college during a time when we need to train our workers even more. But sometimes in some places people would think even worse. They put 80,000 people out of health insurance. They cut 80,000 people off of Medicaid because of politics, because they refused to take the federal funding for that expansion of Medicaid and Badger Care. So what does this all mean? It means, again, ask the question. Is this the way you would manage a budget? Are your values being addressed when your taxes are being spent to only enhance a few, when instead it should be for the greater good? I insist and I demand that what we do is we consider the future. We consider the future of our children when we budget. We consider all of the things that I mentioned before when we put together a budget, when we determine how we're spending other people's money. It's bad enough that they obviously can't understand that what we should do in our households, but when it comes to spending other people's money, it needs to go for the greater good. Please That's why I need to go back to Madison, because grown-ups need to be in the room determining how that money is spent, how the future is going to be laid out, and making sure that we're not leaving our children in debt.